Toschi and Vasapollo from EtheriansOS, who is one of our Genesis sponsors. So thank you guys again, and hopefully, no, devi trascinare.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, because it's shared screen. Yeah, that makes totally sense. So, yeah. So in a moment. And
Dall'altro lato.
And now it's there. Yeah, so, okay. I'm Toschi.it and Vasapollo.it.
Vasa.
We are actually building EthereansOS, and something we want to start, and why we are building EthereansOS is for actually the ecosystem after this bubble, and so it's important about on-chain things and decentralization in general. If you want to have Ethereum that actually makes sense, and the application of it actually makes sense, actually. So let's start to why we are here, why we start all of this, and to understand why we keep importance to on-chain things and not semi-on-chain things is about to remember when this industry started. And this industry started with the Bitcoin in 2008, and the whole industry since Bitcoin to actually have an EVM on Ethereum is the idea to, and everything is there because it's legit, not because it's legal. So that's the most important things to remember, that everything is here because it should be unstoppable and needs to be unstoppable. And so when you think about application, this kind of stuff, this is the most important part, and why actually we pay gas fees. Because the gas fee we pay is something that is our security budget that make us secure from every kind of actually attack. So gas fees are cool, are not something that is horrible, like some people said in a space in the last two years. Because the freedom we have into the space is expensive. Like in the real world, the freedom is so expensive actually. But on Ethereum is a little bit different, because hopefully everything that will be cheaper at some point, because we are optimistic. We will have optimism, we will have at 2.0, but it's not more at 2.0. So the new updates into Ethereum actually, and we will have like sharding and so on and so forth. Because when we talk about security budget, we can compare security budget with state security budget, actually. So it's the army we have to be secure, that nobody can stop us to use our assets on Ethereum, actually. And this is why it's so important, the security budget and also gas fees. And the difference between what is it, sorry for the Ethereum 2.0 another time. So the difference between what Ethereum is doing with this roadmap and is that we are not making like less security to scale, but the idea is to say, okay, we have to build like a huge, cheap army which are more powerful, and also they are cheap to build. And so we will scale by improving our army with some technology that other army don't have. So like mechas, which are pretty cool actually. And so, because into the Web3, if we are not able to fight our enemies, which can be states or which can be attackers in every kind of sense, there is no way why we pay gas fees, because gas fees are for this. And so Web3 is better in that sense. And so, for example, this is what's happening, but if you compare with this is what can happen. But the problem is, do we really need all of this cool mecha army if we are paid to secure, like, I don't know, low basis stable about this? So that's why we are here actually. Because we should start to build 100% decentralized things actually, because we need to build application that really take advantage from this kind of security, and they really need this kind of security. Because at some point, if we don't do this on Ethereum, this is what will happen. So normies will figure it out that to have these semi-centralized things, they can use Web 2. And it's cheaper in that sense. Because most of the applications don't need Web 3, actually, at some point. And so we are here since 2019, providing an operating system to build decentralized apps without compromise on Ethereum. Actually, waiting. So yeah, after having funded pretty much everything, so what is actually EtheriansOS do? So we are developing this whole ecosystem of like different application, not for this bubble actually, but for what we need after. So real on-chain organizations, real object for games that actually have their utility on-chain, a factory-based developing on Ethereum so that people can like building factories accept and not just contracts for their own usage, but that factory people can clone the code that they need directly on-chain, so reducing a lot the problem of security we have, and created things in DeFi like we call covenants, and they are with magic things. So I will be very faster. So for example, the governance we created is a granular governance, so solving all of the problem about intellectual thinking governance. So you have like a layer which is actually, you can actually propose to change permission on the code you deploy, or actually other layers which we call the sub-DAOs layer, where you have like this small layer that people can vote just into one things, but they can vote there to change it very securely. And when they vote, they actually execute the change. They're not asking to the team to do something, which I think is so fun. And you can build every kind of granular permission architecture, so you can say, I don't know, we are a company and we want to host this, or host plus holder, so an agreement between the team and the holders, or holders only, so this is yours. Do your job, holders. And so this is why, because EthereansOS already have this organization, and it's pretty fun because everything is there. So people can vote on, realistically change most of the part. They are ruling this, actually. And it's pretty fun that we build this, and it actually works. And you can build every single part of organization based on the incentive you want to have to make users that vote not just like a political things, but something that can improve the application. Finally, actually. So yeah, we have a lot of things about it because we create also the delegation things and a lot of part, but we can talk it after. We will build like items which are objects that are designed for what actually is better for any use case and any utilities on chain, because they work both as they work both as ERC20 and 1155, but they are designed to like having to build into this like on-chain utilities, for example, for a game and other things. With dynamic metadata and on-chain metadata also. And something we build around these items is that actually you can wrap every existing object, or you can build native items, but we like virtualize collection, and so you can do all of the cool stuff with 1155, which I think they are pretty cool, like batch transfer, but with all of the objects. And finally, they are based on a factory, and so you can just call the factory by on-chain and see all of the information about every token existing, and not that just put in your interface the address of token you want that people use or see. And yeah, covenants is our part of for the DeFi stuff, which basically is, for example, factories for farming. So you can just clone and create secure farming for Uniswap v3 and other MMs, for example. Which is pretty cool. So you don't need to pay a lot of money and maybe lose a lot of money of your users. And also routines, which are pretty cool because are things that you can run by an organization or like host to do things like daily things, like I don't know, transfer things, or also like doing swaps and everything. So we are trying to actually build all of these things together, and also waiting for when all of the project we will want to be everything on chain. But that is only the basic part, because the real core of this is the idea of factories. And now it's your turn.
Thanks, Ale. Hi, everyone. Yeah. As Ale said, we strongly believe in censorship resistance and decentralization and security. And for this reason, our EtheriansOS environment works through factories. Why? Because factories let you not just compile a contract and deploy it, but just cloning it from a previously created contract. So it just helps people to create already a secured contract because they are already deployed and use it, for example. And you just, of course, sets up all the stuff that you need to configure your own contract and your applications. Plus, factories are beacons because using the EVM logs, you can easily index everything inside them. And of course, everything is more easy to be used without the need of Web 2 analytics engines, for example, which could be censored, for example. So the user, as we said, just sets up what he needs to do to configure their own previously created contracts, and the factory just clone it. And of course, you can just clone already deployed contract. And if you want to do your own, we create the factory of factories. So you can deploy your own factories with your own products, and they are already indexed because of the logs of the AVM, as already said. So everyone can create their own factories with their own forks, if they want, without deploying them from scratch, but just using the code already deployed, as we said. And plus, we are extremely focused on the way the contracts are tested before to deploy them, but not just to test the contracts as a solo contract, but just interacting with all the contracts that he needs to interact with in the real mainnet chain. And for this reason, we created a tool set called Multiverse, but it's not time now to talk about. We will talk about. We will unveil it later. So, what are factories used for? In our case, as Ale said, in our in all our application, for example, covenants, we use for farming. Farming contracts are pretty same. You just need one token, so you can specify your token, the time frames windows of your farming period, and you're in. Just call the factory with this simple information, and they are already deployed. So it's easy, and with several, of course, settings to mean. For example, if the reward of the farming is made by minting new one or by reserve, how to implement the way the farming is used by your user, and so on. Then there are items. Items are, at the same time, 1155 NFTs and ERC20 NFTs. At the same time. So this means that when you transfer one of those, they have, of course, two addresses, two different addresses. When you transfer a ERC20 part, you are already transferring the 1155 part. And this let the items be interoperable between applications, for example, OpenSea and Uniswap, for example, or whatever you want. You can wrap previously created NFTs which are not native items, but for example, OS, the token we use for our governance, is a native item, and is at the same time 1155 and ERC20. And you can use both at the same time. Items also contain dynamic metadata. Dynamic metadata are metadata that are resolved directly on chain without the use of a server, okay? And they can change in time because all the resolver that draws the metadata, not only images, okay, but also all the related data are resolved directly on chain, and they could have a dynamic contract that dynamic draws them in time. For example, when you have multiple objects linked together, the metadata changes basing on what you have in your wallet, for example, and the applications are unlimited. And now the features I like the most, which are the organizations. The EtheriansOS organizations are not just DAOs. In the DAOs, you vote to give an opinion to the team that hosts the project and manages the project. In organization, you vote to run code. So our proposal is just preparing a smart contract with all the logic inside, and people votes. Basing on the governance rules you choose when you create the organization through the factory, so everybody could create his organization. We have ours, of course, but you can create your own. And when the decision is given through the governance rules on chain, the decision is taken. So you just can trigger the execution. The execution is of course on chain, so it is sealed. And you can have several layers of organization, because there are the root layers which let the token holders to change anything inside or do anything inside inside the organization, like for example changing the governance rules, move money from the treasury manager, which is always on chain and always 100% core math related code, so no human intervent is necessary. Everything is governed by math. Or for example, sub-DAOs let token holders just to vote for something. For example, a token inflation with a fixed bunch of inflation numbers, for example 5%, 50%, and so on. You, for example, cannot give your inflation, your token, the inflation of 100%, which could be dangerous, but just from a given bunch of previously set data. And for example, you can have, we do in the organization have the root layer, which comments what are the percentages for inflation, and people just vote for the percentage the root layer choose. And you can, of course, insert a new kind of pieces we call managers, like for example proposal manager or microservices managers, which increases the functionalities of your organization even in time, because you can vote to add new or remove one or edit bugged functionalities, for example, in your own code, and so on. And this is how it works. We have the root layer, which, for example, in our case, is host plus holders. So the host of the protocol, which are us in this case, just propose something, but cannot do anything more than this, because all the token holders must vote by their own with their own tokens. So they can decide to follow the first path or fork them and, for example, do what they want to with upgraded functionalities and so on. And plus there are the serverless proposal, which is something that I have already described, like for example using the percentages, fixed percentages for inflation, so fixed stuff that people can use to vote without damaging the entire ecosystem you created. Yeah, this is everything for now. And before to close, we want to thank our artists, which are Piero Vianello, Vale Mostro, and Davide Abate, who draw all the images you see in this presentation, and also the spaghetti logo, if I may. Yes, thank you very much.
I just want to finish saying that it's pretty difficult to talk with people when you are two years in home just working on code and things. So sorry if we were not perfect, actually. Thank you. Do you have any question about all of the stack of EthereansOS or these kind of things? Yeah. Hello, guys.
Can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So first of all, just want to say that I had the pleasure to be introduced to your project last summer in Paris, and I can see that you guys have done a lot of work, and really my best congratulations for this. I have more of a random question first. I'm wondering if your EtheriansOS project is linked to the ETHEREANS NFT project. Okay, just a random question. And then more of a, so I'm doing a blockchain video game myself. We are on Polygon, and we are in the process of creating the architecture for our own video game DAO. So I'm interested, our NFTs for the moment are on Polygon, for example. The currencies have not been launched yet, but I'm trying to understand if, for example, your architecture structure could be also used on a Polygon project, if it is only compatible with Ethereum projects. Yeah, basically this.
That's a good question, because actually something we already said on Twitter is that we are supporting only rollups actually at the moment. So we will use like Optimism, which is my favorite. I love it actually, and other rollups in general, because for two reasons. We have like a short-term roadmap about layer 2s, which is actually take our contract and put it there and create something we call the colonies. So Optimism, and you have like, I don't know, some feature or some fees from your like factories or project, and you can just take fees from other layers and put a fee into your main layer of your organization of things like this. And we will have like a second phase of layer 2s. We will be like creating things that are more like interoperable. Like I don't know, you have like an organization in a rollup, and you can go to layer 1 to vote, or vice versa. I think people will use more vice versa. By the way, yeah, we are only on. We have in mind only to go to rollups. So for security, because it's, I don't know. We want to be sure that people that use our product, they will never have issues about security in the future. So that's our position.
I do understand that. I do understand that as a developer, I mean, some working on Polygon, everything that is happening on Axis, so I mean, I do understand.
We know that Polygon will build their own rollup, so at the point, yeah, sure. But we want to have this basic layer of security to run our contracts there. Some other questions? I don't know. I was so bad in talking about our product, so if you have a question about this, I will help you.
Clearly, I don't understand all the details of the project. I still need to get my head around it. But one basic question would be, when you have an organization, okay, which is a cool idea actually, is there a link or a relation to the OS structure, architecture? Meaning, is there any thing in terms of token allocation that the organization needs to have? Can you be completely an independent organization without relying on the project itself?
Yeah, sure. This is so important. So you can use our factories for organization, but you can people can build other factories, and you can take from other factories, like for example for governance tools and these things. And when you create your organization, you can use every single token you have because we have items. So you can say, okay, we want to run our organization with our NFTs. That's okay. You don't need to build another RC20 like ApeCoin. And for example, you can set, for example, for any part of granular governance, different tokens with different powers. So you can say, for example, I don't know, we have these applications together, or you can be like real incentive to vote as much as needed for the future of the project. So yeah. Yeah, sure. You can also use Ethereum for organization, so directly and vote with this. So yeah, part of this because it's very easy to create like hacks with all of these things together. And secondly, we are like an ecosystem. We are running this as an ecosystem. So you have items, you have the factories ecosystem, you have the governance ecosystem. So I think it's like meaningless to just copy this, because you can just build your own factories with this ecosystem. So you don't need to like copy this. There is no reason actually. So you can't like just make money because you have an ecosystem. So just better to come here, build your factories there that people can use, and build your like for free or with fees as you prefer. So that's easier.
Simpler version or a Web3 version of a no-coding kind of tool?
Well, it's not no coding. It's coding, but it's like sharing the security. So, so for example, we are doing a lot of application. Okay. So for example, farming, for example. Okay, farming is all the same shit. Okay. So basically, you have the you have the token to farm and these kind of things. It doesn't make sense that every time a project, they build their own farming contract, you have security issues, you have Open Zeppelin, you have to be secure that the man who take this contract and deploy them, they don't make like problem inside this because you want to attack or because it's just don't know how to code on Solidity, they just copy from the Open Zeppelin. And so when you use factories, you are secure as a users and also as a project, that you are cloning the most important part of this factory. You can extend the logic if you want, so you can build more complex things from this. But the base layer, the most important part, is there, is secure, and everything is the same level of security. And so you just need to do like your own research by a factory to all of the contracts that are made by this factory. Actually, try to like verify the security of this for all of the other contracts. Well, we are general purpose on it. We are general purpose on it. So we are not like saying, oh, this is secure, this is not. But I think at some point it will be like verifier of factories, so companies that can come and like verify that this factory is good. And also you have another things that you can use. So these are factories, and so you can track every contract that are from this factory, because it's not like a standard that people deploy by their own. And so you're just calling the chain totally on chain. You can just keep track of every contract created by this factory. And so you can say, okay, a lot of projects just trust this factory, so it's more probable that this factory don't have issues. Or maybe some project you respect, and so on and so forth. So you can say, okay, I don't have the skill to understand if this factory is okay, but I see that most of the project I trust and I love, they're using it, so I'm pretty secure that is no problem.
Can I add something on this? And yeah, what Ale said is correct. Analyzing data is still important. We just guarantee that the security of their assets and all the engines is guaranteed by the factories. But when you when you need an opinion about that factory, you can use analytics in Web 2. So Web 2 is not necessary to run the code and to use your data and whatever, but just to simplify the experience of the user. And analytics is one of the most important. Usage and traffic. So when you have, for example, 2 tokens, I don't know, the real DAI and fake DAI, let's say, what is the real one, the most used one, not the one which was created
and how do you track the quality of the contract that use these factories? Like, let's say a factory has been used by 100 other contracts. But
this is not what we do. We just provide factories and whatever, and people could build stuff on top of them.
Yeah, it's like to say, oh, Ethereum is bad because everyone can deploy this, and so you should keep track on every contract there. So you have like the base layer, which is like the that should be as much as possible, so 100% as much as possible, I think, general purpose, so without judge things, and this is the platform. And then people build on top, yeah, it's okay, but there will be like external things to track what is good, what is not, because if we make this, like, I don't know, like permissioned or something, I don't know, that's not a platform, that's just a thing. So in every platform, there are ways that people will use to track what is secure and what is not. So it's not our case. Maybe, in the future, we can provide like things, and we can have projects that want to build like security things on top and these kind of things. But we are focused into the base layer of this to make it more general purpose as possible.
And you're going to show us a case in the workshop? You're going to show us a use case in the workshop?
Not about factories, actually, but the workshop is about something that is releasing into the item stack, which is DEX, which is pretty cool because it's like de facto that it's about the NFT space, actually, to like wrapping all of the NFTs into the collection item, which is the deck. And so we are trying to push this to actually build the DeFi application on top of this kind of things at the moment. So the workshop is about this, and also the bounty is about this.
Thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for the questions. Because factory is also a real long-term thing that is not just into these days, actually. So it's we will push more forward workshop about this in the future and bounties. But it's very, very long term as a phase of our product. So let me show an example. So factories are already there. So you can call the factory your factory. It could be your factories, but we are not using them into the UI right now because we are also building all of the tools to like creating the best tools to build on Ethereum, and we will launch like the UI of factory when we have this, and it will be the best place not just to have these factory things, but also to test and deploy things on Ethereum. So that's our roadmap. So we are not pushing right now in terms of adoption factories, but we are more pushing like simple things like farming or items at the moment. So it's about strategy in our growth strategy.
Thank you, guys. Very cool presentation.